Respect are a membership organisation. We are a second-tier organisation, and we have members that come from 3 particular groups of work. So we have organisational members who work with perpetrators of domestic abuse, providing interventions with perpetrators and integrated partner support services. We also work with organisations who provide male victim services. And our third strand of work is young people using abusive behaviour. So emerging violence, both adolescent to parent violence and teen relationships, where young people are starting to use abusive behaviour. So those are the 3 strands of work that Respect do nationally within the UK. The other thing that Respect do is we run 2 national helplines. It's 2 helplines. One is the Respect phone line, and that's a phone line for people who are concerned about their own behaviour in terms of behaving abusively towards an intimate partner, but also for professionals or people associated with someone that they are concerned about someone using abusive behaviour. And the second helpline that we run, which is entirely separate, is the Men's Advice Line, and that's a service for male victims of domestic abuse. And again, it's open to professionals or people that are concerned about someone that they care about, and that's for people who are experiencing domestic abuse, both heterosexual men and men in same-sex relationships. So that's who Respect are in terms of the UK, and who Respect are in terms of the Ascent consortium, is that we are one of the members. We're particularly pleased to be a member of the Ascent consortium because that idea of nothing about us without us, and being firmly embedded in the violence against women and girls sector, is something that we think is of the most importance when thinking about working with perpetrators of domestic abuse. So that end goal of why would you work with someone using abusive behaviour? Because your primary customer, the person you care about, is a victim or a survivor, or someone who's not yet a survivor because they've not encountered domestic abuse. And the more we work towards ending domestic abuse, the less victims and survivors that we'll actually have. So for us, that's particularly exciting to work together in the Ascent consortium. So a lot of these people have children, so we think about the ripple there. A lot of these people, to be an intimate partner, someone who uses intimate partner abuse, obviously they've got a partner. They might have a former partner. If they split up, they'll have a future partner. The ripples from engaging with just one man, the potential is huge. And I guess, so your interest and your question would sort of lead me very neatly to what do we do in terms of Ascent and the second tier, is that particularly what we do is we provide training and one-to-one support. So in terms of the trainings that we offer training on better engagement with perpetrators. That's a very short 1-day course, and that's for people who work in associated professions, so rather than domestic abuse perpetrator specialists. Sometimes people are naturally quite nervous of talking to someone who's a perpetrator. People have visions in their head of this terrifying thug, and so it's about making the challenge of having that conversation more accessible, more acceptable, and hopefully being able to have that conversation in a productive way, so that rather than driving the problem underground, you start to be able to communicate with the perpetrator in a way that makes them be willing to address their own behaviour, and certainly gives the practitioner the opportunity to not just avoid the problem. So we offer that course. We also offer the Working with Male Victims course, and again for the same reason, sometimes people are naturally nervous about undertaking that work. And what's nice is where we have the phone lines, so that we have practitioners who are doing this work every day. That informs these training packages. We also have our members and the wealth of experience of specialist providers up and down the country and practice development work that we're constantly doing. All of that informs our short trainings that we offer for Ascent, where we're hoping to upskill and sort of improve the responses and improve the confidence across the sector in London. So cross-cultural working with perpetrators, people come in with a bunch of preconceptions about why they need to consider working in a cross-cultural way. It's a very challenging personally challenging training, and I'm not going to tell you too much about it, but no one ever comes away upset, and everyone always comes away enthused as well as confident. So yeah, it's my favourite one to do. It's very interactive, it's not death by PowerPoint, it's a very positive training, and it gives people an opportunity to reflect on what the notion of cross-cultural actually means, particularly in relation to violence against women and girls. But the other training that we offer, and I guess it's worth me mentioning it because I've talked about almost all of the other ones, is the women using violence.
Yes.
So particularly when we're talking about domestic abuse, it's really important to recognise that domestic abuse happens across all areas of society, and as we run the Men's Advice Line, we certainly interact with male victims of domestic abuse. So we know that there are perpetrators of domestic abuse who are not the typical stereotyped image, and that actually there are women out there who use abuse within their relationships, but also women who use violence within their relationships because they're in a position of being victimised, and this feels like the only solution that they've got. And I think it's really important when we're talking to practitioners. Again, it's a short one-day course, but it's about helping people to develop the skills and the confidence to identify what's going on, who is doing what to whom for women using violence, very similar to male victims. It's about helping people identify who is doing what to whom, what are the vulnerabilities, how do we safeguard this, and also, more importantly, how do we help these people move forwards? So how do we work with our clients confidently and effectively? So the Respect Standard was born in 2008. Previous to that, there had already been a set of principles that programmes, interventions with perpetrators were sort of working towards. And this was a way of having a quality standard, having an endorsement of, having some independent scrutiny of a service. It's very easy for a service to say, I do a good thing, trust me. What the Respect Standard is designed to do is to give partners, commissioners, stakeholders, victims and survivors some level of confidence to say, not only does this organisation do this, not only is this organisation saying that they're safe, they've got an external endorsement that says they're safe, and they are prepared to be held accountable. So every single Respect accredited organisation, and that's either Respect Safe Minimum Practice, which was the old stage 1, or currently stage 1, or fully accredited, every single service that carries the Respect endorsement is held by our complaints procedure, so that if someone is disappointed, dissatisfied, or let down by an accredited service, they follow their complaints procedure, but if that doesn't resolve their problem, they can come to Respect, and every one of those organisations that is accredited has asked us to hold them to account. So they will let us in, we will investigate, we will check all of their processes, and we will give them action plans and tasks and requirements to rectify and resolve the situation. So for me, I think there's something about accountability which is really important. So it's very easy for organisations sometimes to say, we work within the Respect Standard, which I think is a nice way of saying I've read them. But I'm Respect accredited says, I've read them, I thought I did them, I invited somebody to come and check. And that's a huge difference.